You know what, brothers? I think that as hard as we grind, man, as hard as we get it, as hard as we get it out the mud and all that, right? As hard as we get it, man, I think on the deepest of levels, all of us, everybody knows that the highest level of fulfillment is finding self. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's out trying to get it. Everybody, you know, it's part of living life. Everybody's trying to get bigger and better and become better and achieve more. I think that's just a part of life. But on the deepest of levels, I believe everybody knows that the highest level of fulfillment or the highest thing they're searching for is finding self. You know what I'm saying? Even if they aren't calling it that. Because I believe once you found self, like you've won the game of life. You've won the game of life. Like I believe, this is my personal belief, man. I believe that the objective of us even being here is to have come from universal consciousness, all knowing, coming from source energy, God, and be placed on this planet with all of its beauty, all of its attractions, all of its beautiful women, all of its fun things to do, all of its vices, and be put in the middle of that, and to despite being in the midst of all that, to find our way back home, to find our way back to self. I believe that's the ultimate objective. And the reason I say that is because once you find self, there's nothing else that you really want to get fulfillment out of except finding deeper levels of self. And I'm not saying that once you find self, you don't still want to accomplish goals. I'm just saying you're just playing the game at that point. But you know, the objective has been accomplished. You know what I'm saying? The only thing you can get your fulfillment from that point is to find deeper levels of self. I'll be honest, man. It feels like, and I was thinking about this all day today, man, when I was just kind of out and about, just kind of roaming. I said, man, it feels like I'm living like a bonus life now. It feels like anything I do now is kind of just bonus. Like, it's just like, all right, whatever you do for the rest of your days, whether you live for one more day or 100 more years, like, this is just extra. Because I've found this fulfillment, man. I'll say this. If y'all have seen the recipe, I made the recipe some years ago. And in the recipe, I just said death is the highest level of consciousness. In other words, I said, you know what, when we sit there and meditate, when we go into our meditative state, man, like we're going to the same place energetically that we go when we die. When we meditate, we're going to the same place we go when we die. When we go to sleep at night, we're going deeper off into that state, but we're going to the exact same place that we go when we die, right? And then, of course, when we die, we go into that state, and we're in that state forever, right? So death is the highest level of going into that state. Death is the highest level of going into that level of consciousness, where you're right there with God. And I believe that when a person finds self, they found God, and it's like. And I was telling my brothers this, man, and I typically wouldn't say something like this on YouTube, but I live as if I am dead. I know that don't sound right, but when I say I live as if I'm dead, it's kind of going back to what I said a second ago. It feels like everything from this point is just a bonus. You know what I'm saying? Like God might call me home tomorrow, or it might be a million years, but it's like this. It's like this. It's kind of like when we used to play, or still play, if you play Call of Duty. You know how when you play Call of Duty and you get, it used to be like this, when you get to the rank of 50 rank, you go to Prestige and you just start the game over again. Like at that point, you have nothing else to prove. You're just enjoying the sport of it at that point. You're just going around just doing what you want to do at that point. You know what I'm saying? Until the game is over. Like, that's what life feels like. Like, I won the game already, and it's now like God is just saying, hey, you know what? Good job, you found self. Now just have fun until I call you back. And it's just a high, man. It's just a high. And it's a high to the point where I embrace death. Like, I look forward to death. Let me pause and say this straight. Like, y'all know I want to live to see 100 years old. That's my goal, to hit 100 years old. But at the same time, I'm excited about death, because this is what I say to myself. I say, you know what? If me just living in this third dimensional plane feels like this, like having found self and connected to God, and feels like this, like, what do you think it will be like, going into that next level permanently? Like, it has to be the ultimate level of bliss. So of course I love living life and exploring, and but man, I low-key look forward to death, man. Excited about it. You know what I'm saying? So however I go, whenever I go, I don't care if I'm in a hospital bed, if I'm in hospice, if I'm cutting 3 or 4 parts from a car wreck, if some illness is taking my body, and I'm on my deathbed looking bad, and y'all be like, man, I feel sorry for soul. Man, don't feel sorry for me, because on the inside, regardless of what condition I'm in, I'm lit. You know what I'm saying? I'm counting down like it's New Year's Eve, man, like I'm about to cross over. You know what I'm saying? Because I look forward to that ultimate high, man. It just feels like life is a bonus now, and it feels good. Like there's no fear of nothing. There's no fear of failure. There's no fear of death. There's no fear of nothing, because it's like every time I'm going into a situation, the first thing I think of, okay, what's the worst case scenario? Absolute worst case scenario, and nothing is going to be as bad as death is. So it's like, if that's worst case scenario, I might as well play the game. I might as well call the play. You know what I'm saying? It puts me in a position. It puts me in a position mentally where I'm no longer afraid to take risk. You know, and this didn't happen over, like, this happened, like, I got this feeling somewhere between the age of like 43, 44 and now. And I don't know if it was like a one-day thing or if it was just like a gradual thing, but it's just to the point now where it's like life is a bonus. Like every day is just like a bonus. Like we used to be in the military and used to run the like we used to do our PT test in the military, and you run that 2-mile run. That was the last event. You did the push-ups, sit-ups, then you did the 2-mile run last. All them guys that were blazing fast, by the time you got to the finish line, they was over there, man, eating fruit and drinking Kool-Aid and just over there telling jokes. Like, they were just enjoying life at that point. Like, they had already done the thing. But the thing is this, man, I think everybody finds self. Matter of fact, I almost know. I'm not the creator of this plane, but I have a feeling that everybody finds self before they go. Like, there is no heaven or hell. There is no when we leave here and some people go to the left, some people go to the right. That's not even a real thing. Don't even let nobody tell you that Dr. Seuss type stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's not even a real thing. I believe that everybody's going to find self. It's just a matter of when you're going to find self. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we're searching for it hard enough, we'll find it when we're in our youth, or when we're young and when we can still function, and we find self, and then we can live the remainder of our days, if the good Lord says that we should live a long time, and just like enjoying the game, having really fulfilled the mission, just enjoying the game. But I think worst case scenario, everybody sees it before they die. Even if they die something just instantly and tragically, because again, like I said, death is the highest level of consciousness. So when let's say a person is on their deathbed, and they could have lived their life, man, just kind of lost in the sauce for all these years, and they're on their deathbed and they're tapping out to the last 2 or 3 minutes or last 2 or 3 days, I believe they're going through phases of consciousness. I believe right before it's over, they can see this world for what it is, even if it's right before they tap out. They can see this world like, oh snap, I see the objective now. I was supposed to get lost in the sauce. If y'all saw that video I made, man, while I was talking about this, was it when I was talking about the ring of fire? I think that's what, I'll leave a link to it, man. I was telling, anyway, they'll say, I can see now that the objective was to get dropped off in this land of what we think is milk and honey, and to be able to conquer it, but to be able to deny it, to find self. Like these things that we can partake in, man, the trips, the cars, the cribs, all that stuff is good, but we can't let it distract us from the ultimate mission. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, once we accomplish the ultimate mission, those things are not only easier to obtain, but you start obtaining, everybody's different. You start obtaining something different, man. And there's just like a power. I'll use the word power that comes with finding self, man. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, I always talk about Psalms 91 and how Psalms 91, like it talks about protection and all this kind of stuff. Like in my opinion, and my grandmother taught me that, man. She said, read this every single day. When I asked her what's the most important thing I should know, she said, read Psalm 91 every day. Like Psalm 91, in Soul's opinion, isn't talking to everybody. It's in the Bible that everybody reads, but it's only talking to people that have chosen to be up under that protection by choosing self over everything else. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like when the Bible says, man, I wish I would have brought my water. It's getting dark anyway. I gotta hurry up, man. Like when the Bible says, like, no weapon shall be formed against us, right? I believe that weapons will be formed, but weapons won't prosper against us. Weapons will be formed, but I don't believe weapons will prosper over us, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I know everybody has, different situations they can look at, man, and see where source energy has put a veil over you, or put a veil of protection over you. I know me and my mom every once in a while we'll talk about, like, when I was young. Like when I was young, man, I was sickly. I was like Tiny Tim, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I had asthma real bad, to the point where, like, man, no telling how many gallons of chemicals have been pumped in my blood over the years when I was young. I was going to the doctor every week, getting injections, getting 90-something injections in my back. And I remember one time my mom told me, she was telling me this story about, I don't know if she thought I was about to tap out and clock out and go to the upper room, but it was real bad to the point where she had to, like, call the hospital or call something. And they said, hey, the only thing you can do in this short amount of time is dump him in a bathtub full of cold water. You know what I'm saying? And she said, and she had to put me in a bathtub full of cold water. So my whole childhood was all, wheezing and inhalers and going to the hospital and emergency room and getting shots. Like, that was my childhood. But even though all that was going on, I was 100% sure that something was over. Like that wasn't going to be always. I knew for a fact, like, hey, it's just a matter of time before this is gone. Like, this is something temporary. Some people live like that for the rest of their days. But I knew I could feel that it was something over me that was like, hey, you know what? If you just stand, and of course back then when I was 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, I wasn't sitting there using words like singular truth and all that kind of stuff. But I could feel, man, these gnats been bad up here last couple days. I could feel within myself that if I could just stay connected to what I thought was true, that God was who God was and does what God does, that I would get past this. You know what I'm saying? And lo and behold, by the time I hit 8th grade, 9th and 7th, 8th grade, somewhere in there, it just gone overnight. Just boom, gone. You know what I'm saying? So I've always felt that veil. So maybe I made a decision long ago, but even when I was in the military, man, I remember when I went to Iraqi Freedom Brothers. And I remember we were flying a plane over there, man, and everybody's on the plane joking. We uniformed up. Man, these gnats horrible. We were joking. We watching movies. Everybody's uniformed up. Man, let me walk. Everybody's uniformed up. We guns up under the seats and everything. We getting ready to go to combat type stuff, man. But it's still a joke. It's not real. And I can remember, man, when we were flying over Saudi Arabia. When we got over Saudi Arabia, I don't know what they call it, but you don't, at least back then, you weren't supposed to be flying airplanes with the lights off. So they cut all the lights off the plane with no blinking lights, all the lights on the inside out. And it was just pitch black, all the blinds down. We just flying in pitch black, brother, middle of the night. So I was like, man, it's getting real. Everybody was starting to see that. But I can remember when we got off the plane. When we got off the plane in Kuwait. We got the plane in Kuwait. I can remember, man, everybody started kind of taking it serious. But when we got off the plane, as soon as we got off the plane, we in this hangar. And all you could hear was these bagpipes. Like a military song, but it was bagpipes. And everybody was looking like, what? Like, what's going on? And they wheeling these two. If you Google it, the first two soldiers that were taken out in the war were two British soldiers. Like when we were getting off the plane, they were putting those British soldiers on the plane we were getting off of, playing the bagpipes, like saluting them, farewell to the. And that's when everybody was like, oh, it's real. So, and at that point, man, I was like, man, you know what? There's a chance that I won't make it back home. And as soon as I had that thought, I felt this veil of protection come over me, man. Like, no, that ain't you. Like, you might go down through there. You might have to throw a few rounds down. You might have to do some things you don't want to do. You might see some things you don't want to see. But no, that ain't you. You going back to the house. So I conducted myself like that, man. And just fast forward, between then and now, just going through life and trials and tribulations and, going through bad times and going through, money and health and all kind of issues going on. I've always felt like this is just to make sure you're still that dude. This is just to make sure you're still, I'm just making sure you're still who you say you are. Because God has said, I'm going to be who I am. I just need to make sure you're still who you say you are. Make sure you're still on the team type stuff. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, it's just like, and I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm just, but this is my takeaway from all that, man. I said all that to say this. Like, you have to live life. You have to live life premeditated, man. Everything has to be premeditated. Everything has to be that intentional. Because when you're that intentional, it keeps you in that frequency I'm talking about. When you're that intentional, it keeps you in the now at all times. Like, if I could look at my life and look at times I've kind of floated out and drifted, it's because I was in times where I was just kind of like, oh, you know what, I'm just living life, like waiting on life to happen to me. You know what I'm saying? So life has to be premeditated. Kind of like when somebody goes, somebody pulls a Jason on somebody and they go to court and the lawyers are saying, hey, you know what? We're trying to get a harsher sentence because this was premeditated. Like, this was thought out. Because even the legal systems knows the power of something being premeditated. You know what I'm saying? So if when something is premeditated, it gets a harsher sentence, then it's the same thing on both ends. If something is premeditated on the positive side, there should be that much more of a blessing or that much more level of peace that comes with it. So you have to live your life premeditated, man. Meaning you have to, kind of like when somebody does something like I just talked about, going and does some deleting, and it's premeditated. That means they thought it out. Listen to this. That means they thought it out, and in the back of their mind, they thought that their plan was so good, they would never get caught. In other words, they thought their plan was so good, man, these gnats are like, they thought their plan was so good that they just conducted themselves as if, like, you know what, nobody will ever know I did this. I planned the bank robbery. I did this. I did my scouting out. Nobody's ever going to catch me at this. It was premeditated. So think about when your life is premeditated, man. You have to have the same conviction or same faith that, you know what, if it's premeditated, I gotta act like I know it's going to work for me. I gotta move like I know I'm protected. I gotta move as if I'm already dead. When I say already dead, y'all gotta understand. I gotta move as if I'm already connected with the all. I gotta move like when I'm no longer here and I'm face to face, theoretically, face to face with that being. I gotta move like that now. It's a different way of living, man. It's a different way of living, bro. And really the only thing that can get your rocks off, that can really fulfill you, is finding deeper levels of being in that space. Yeah, let's play the game. Yeah, let's get the things. Yeah, let's take the trips. Yeah, let's move abroad. Yeah, let's do all that stuff. But that's nothing, man. That's child's play. That's nothing. The real game is finding self. The real game is finding self, man. So yeah.